Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to cosplay. Now, for some background, I've been into cosplaying for maybe off and on like 4 or 5 years, and I wouldn't call myself a professional because I'm not getting paid for it, but I do have some experience in it, and I figured that it'd be a good idea for a video to share with you all some tips on how to get into it. Now, if you've attended a convention before, or this is your first time, but nevertheless this is your first time considering cosplaying, then hopefully this video will be helpful to you. As an initial matter, if you're still on the fence, I say go for it. Everyone that I've spoken to at conventions who didn't cosplay have always said like, man, I wish I would've, or next year I'm going to. So if this is your first convention and you've never cosplayed, or you've gone to a convention before and you're thinking about it, go for it. It's 10 times more fun if you do. As you've seen, or as you will see, most people are like in character, or you're at a convention and you're amongst friends and people who have the same interests as you do. So why not add another layer onto it and give you guys something else to talk about? I promise you won't regret it. So let's get that out the way. So I know a lot of people probably have this hesitation when it comes to cosplaying, and that like, oh, this isn't for me, or oh, I'll look silly, or like I can't do this. But I promise you that nobody at the convention is going to be thinking that. If they are like in the super minority, because everyone at the convention is there to have a good time, and you're amongst friends. You all have at least one thing in common. At the very least is that you enjoy the same shows, the same movies, the same video games. So don't let that get in your way. Just go for it, and I promise you you'll have a good time. Now, the next thing, in addition to getting over that initial hurdle, is figuring out what do you want to go as. I think that's probably one of the biggest roadblocks that a new cosplayer has. What do I do? What can I do? Don't get caught up in like, oh, I don't look like this person, or this person is a different race than me. None of that matters. You're going to have fun. So I say you pick a character that you most closely relate to, a character from a show that you really love, a character that you know a lot about. And I say that because once you start the process of putting the cosplay together, you'll enjoy the process way more, I promise you. Because hey, this person's hair looks like this, or this person's jacket moves like this, or the pants or the shoes. Like, you get caught up in the details, and I think that that's a part of the fun. Cosplay isn't just putting a thing on, it's also putting it together. So yeah, I would recommend that you put together a list of, say, 5 characters. And then from that list, you want to think about, okay, which one of these for my first time cosplaying is the most feasible to put together. So what does that mean? Am I willing to spend a bunch of money to put this cosplay together? Does this person have a lot of accessories and moving pieces? Does he have like swords? For example, putting together an Iron Man suit would be way more intricate than putting together, say, a Tony Stark suit. So those are things that you want to keep in mind as you're narrowing down that list. But these are the steps that you take to get down to, like, say, 1 or 2. And then once you have it narrowed down, you just decide, okay, am I cosplaying for 1 day, multiple days? And based on the methods I'm going to give you, which of these can I pull off most conveniently, especially for your first time. So yeah, now that we've done that, let's get into the methods. In my experience, I found that there's 4 ways to put a cosplay together. Some are more expensive than others, some are quicker than others, and some have more frustration than others. So I'll go through each, give you guys some background on like the pros and cons of each, my experience with each of those ways to put a cosplay together, and hopefully you can either mix and match or find one of these methods helpful for you. So one of the first ways of putting together a cosplay is by ordering it off of a website. Now, there are numerous websites, places across the world that you can order these cosplays from. 2 that initially come to mind are Xcozer and Pro Cosplay, and I'll share some video footage of each of those websites. But the good thing about these sites is usually you make one purchase and you have everything you need. Also, these sites tend to update their offerings pretty consistently. So take, for example, as a time of recording, if you were to go to one of the sites, I'm sure you'll see things from Fantastic Four or Superman that released in 2025. Yeah. Also, they have things as far back as like X-Men, The Dark Knight, just a wide variety. They also have stuff like Marvel, DC, anime, TV shows, And I think that's like the main pro of ordering from a website is the variety and the convenience. So these sites do things one of two ways. One would either be that they have the standard sizing formats like small, medium, large, extra large, and so on. And another way that they do it is some of them will have you send in different dimensions, and they'll sort of custom make it for you. And so yeah, that way you have like a better fit whenever it arrives. So yeah, now let's get into some of the cons of ordering from a website. Now these can include things like the wait time being somewhat lengthy. Now for reference, I'm in the US, and a lot of these websites that I'm familiar with ship from overseas like China and Japan. Now keep in mind that they have to put the suit together if you're sending in dimensions, and then you also have the time it takes to ship over here to the US. So another thing that you want to keep in mind when it comes to ordering from a website is that some cosplays are better suited for being ordered from a website than others. So take, for example, if you wanted to go as a character from Demon Slayer, right? Those fits are a bit more straightforward. You have the undergarment, like the main piece, and then you have the jacket. The different sites will send that to you, to your custom fit, and then bam, you're good to go. Maybe you get some accessories from somewhere else, but pretty much that's straightforward. But say you want to go as like an Iron Man or Black Panther, right? Some things aren't going to look as good because these are sort of being mass produced, and so you're going to find that the quality isn't as close to what you may want it to be. But keep in mind that a lot of these sites have varying degrees of cost. So of course, the more money you spend, the more realistic or lifelike that these cosplays will be. And the less money you spend, then the trade-off is that you get a cosplay, but maybe it doesn't look as good as you would want it to. So that's something to keep in mind. I've ordered from these sites a few times. My Mandalorian suit was one that I kind of pieced together, but the main body came from either Pro Cosplay or Xcozer. I think it was Pro Cosplay. And while the main body of the suit is fine, there are other pieces that follow like a one-size-fits-all approach. So like, for example, the chest plate armor seems like it was built for someone like much bigger than me. And then the cape also was like very long and droopy. So if you're gonna go this route, keep in mind that you might have to make some alterations along the way, just so that it fits, how you want it to fit, and that it gives off the look that you want it to have. So yeah, that's the first method, ordering it through a website. So now let's move on to the second method, which is going to be piecemealing, or piecing it together from different locations. Okay, so when it comes to piecemealing or piecing the cosplay together from different locations or from like a certain store or something, this was actually the first method that I ever used when it came to cosplaying. My first convention that I ever attended was Dragon Con in Atlanta. I was still in, I think I was in law school at the time, and didn't really know too much about cosplaying. I originally wasn't going to cosplay, but we decided like last minute to try to throw some things together. So we went to a party city, I think a day or two before the convention, and put some stuff together. Now, I'm a fan of V from V for Vendetta, and I saw the mask in Party City, and so I was able to piece together by like finding the hat, the vest, the cape, and I walked out with a full cosplay. And then to kind of make it my own, I painted the mask. I think at the time the Joker movie had recently came out, so I kind of put some paint on the mask to make it resemble the Joker face paint. But that's another tip to keep in mind, that like you don't have to be screen accurate or be 100% committed to like the source material. Make it your own. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about cosplaying is that folks show up to these conventions with a bunch of unique ways of putting things together. I think when I went to DreamCon last year, there were like the Power Rangers, and they were all lined up and they were all unique, separate from the show. So keep that in mind also. Circling back to the piecemealing option, you can get these from one store, you can get it from a website, or you can get it from all of the above. So I mentioned the Party City example a little while ago. You can also go to a Walmart. You can go online like Amazon. You can also piece it together with maybe a suit that you got from one of those online websites like Xcozer or Pro Cosplay. And you just piece things together until you make the overall fit. Now, some of the pros of this is that you're more in control of the final product. You're able to go through the different sites or stores and piece together the things that you like. Maybe customize it here or there, make some alterations, throw like a coat of paint over something. You can get the accessories yourself. And I think another pro is that this can be as, affordable or like as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be, because at the end of the day, you determine the materials. You determine whether the quality is going to be movie quality or if it's something that's going to be, a bit more cheaper, like plasticky. And you also get that, I guess, gratification of, having more creative control over the process. There aren't really many cons to piecing things together. It can be done as fast or as long as you like it to be. And I think that you'll find that the end product comes out to be pretty good. So yeah, that was the second method, the piecemealing method. Now we're going to go over to the third method, which is crafting. Now, honestly, when it comes to crafting, I have very little experience with this one. So if anyone's watching that is experienced in crafting, I encourage you to, put your thoughts and your comments in the comment section and just let us know what your experience is with crafting. Now, I can say that crafting is one of the methods that when I see folks at conventions who put their own cosplay together by stitching or sewing or painting, the whole thing themselves, those tend to be the best looking cosplays. Like, I can't lie. I've seen some pretty creative things. There was the guy who made the Galactus at one of the Comic Cons, I think in California in 2025. Some of the anime or video game characters that people spend tons of time stitching things together and like making their own wigs and the costumes and doing their own makeup. Like, those come out really, really good. And I think the reason for that is because, once again, they have more creative control over the process. On the flip side of that, though, is I think that the ability to craft, the cap is going to be whatever your crafting skill level is. Now, granted, the more you do it, the better you'll get. But if you're going to a convention for the first time, I wouldn't recommend doing the crafting method first. Maybe that's something that you kind of fall into. Or if you have experience, stitching and putting these together, it'll be a good, experience to like put your cosplay together. But let me know what you're thinking in terms of crafting. I don't really know many people who are good at sewing things together and stitching and whatnot. But like I say, those tend to be the best cosplays at conventions, visually to me anyway. But don't let my words be a deterrent to you giving it a shot. I definitely recommend you do whatever you feel most comfortable with. Another thing to keep in mind is that when it comes to crafting, materials, I don't know what the pricing is on materials these days. But once again, I'm sure it's kind of similar to the other two methods. The more money you spend, the more you'll get out the cosplay, and the less money you spend, then maybe things won't look as good. But I think also you have to consider what it is that you're thinking about going as. So that's something to keep in mind too. So yeah, that was the third method, crafting. Now we're going to move over to the final method, which is having it commissioned. So having a cosplay commissioned is exactly what it sounds like. It's you finding someone that, is proficient at putting together cosplays and different suits, sending over your dimensions and sizes and whatnot, and then them spending the time to put it together. Now, next to crafting, I think commissioning cosplay is one of the ways to get the best looking cosplay possible. But the flip side of that is it's probably the most expensive way to get something done, because keep in mind that you're sending this to someone else. Like, they have to make a profit on what it is that they're putting together. And so you factor in materials and time. And, nevertheless, they have other people that are commissioning things from them too. So you're going to spend some money if you get something commissioned. Now, I've had some cosplays commissioned, and they've definitely taken a while to put together, and they definitely took some money to shell out to get these things done. But like I mentioned, I think they're the best looking cosplays that I have right now. So how do you go about getting a cosplay commissioned? In my experience, I would scroll through Instagram and TikTok and maybe just search like keywords like cosplay commission or cosplay builder, things like that. And the cool thing about this way is that you get to see from their profile all the work that they've done. So maybe they've done a suit before that you want to have also. Or maybe you take a look at their work and see that they've done a variety of things. And so if you're introducing something new, you kind of develop the confidence that, okay, yeah, this person can do what I would like them to do. Another benefit of this method of like looking through their social media is that you can look at the tagged photos page, and you can see the images of people who have actually gotten things commissioned by them. That way you get a sense of, a third party's view of the cosplay. Because of course the person that's building the cosplay is gonna, only put the best pictures out there possible. But if you can look at those tag photos, that gives you a more realistic sense of what it is the final product will be. So yeah, once you found the person that you think would be good at putting together the cosplay that you like, you will send them a message and work out the details of what it is that you want. Now, this kind of gets into the pros and cons of having a cosplay commissioned. Keep in mind that this method introduces the human element, right? Like I mentioned, some people are in high demand. They're doing multiple commissions for multiple people across the world, maybe. But also some people just work at different paces. Some people, will get the cosplay done quick. Some will take months. And some aren't the best communicators. So with this method, you have to be sure to ask all the questions and protect yourself. Personally, I never get a cosplay commission where I pay it all up front. I know a lot of people, they require a deposit. So I'll pay the deposit and then I'll condition subsequent payments on the delivery of progress pictures, right? So say, hey, something costs X amount of dollars and the deposit is a quarter of that. Okay, so before you get the next quarter or the next quarter, I need to see pictures, and then you'll get the final payment once I've seen pictures of the final product. Also, be sure to use a third-party payment provider. Don't just send money through like Cash App or Direct. In my experience, we've always used PayPal. That way, if something goes wrong, you can reach out to a PayPal and kind of have that account flagged. You got to protect yourself. And, I know we'd like to hope or think that everyone's going to do right. But like I say, there's a human element, and some people just aren't the best communicators. Some people get busy, and some people just flat out walk out on you. So you want to have somebody in between to kind of handle that process if something goes wrong. Not saying that will happen, but just want to be honest and let you know that it is a possibility. So yeah, I've had a number of suits commissioned. My Deadpool was commissioned. My Black Panther was commissioned. And while it took some time to get each of those done, they're the best cosplays that I currently have right now. My Deadpool suit is 100% real leather. The suit itself is like movie quality, but like I mentioned, the trade-off is I spent a bunch of money on it. My Black Panther suit is the same way. It's very, very detailed, down to the intricate designs. It's custom fitted to me, so nobody else, unless you have the same dimensions as me, can fit it. It came with the helmets, the accessories, the swords, different eyes for the Deadpool suit. And I think that's the pro of having a cosplay commission. Like, it's all movie quality for me. And I'm very happy that I did those because those are gonna last for a long time. So yeah, commissioning a cosplay is one that's like a really, really good option. But if you're just getting into cosplay, I wouldn't recommend doing it for your first one because, like I said, it gets pretty expensive. So yeah, maybe hold off on that one. So yeah, that's the 4 methods of putting a cosplay together. Now, which one would I recommend for you? If this is your first time going to convention, first time cosplaying, you don't know where to start, then I'd say do one of 2, or maybe these 2 methods. Ordering from a website and piecing it together. I think that's the most straightforward way. It's the quickest way, and you also have more control over the final product. Additionally, you'll have like the full suit, and with ordering from a website, you get a wider variety of options to choose from. So yeah, I'd say go with either piecing it together and or ordering it from a website, and I think that way you get the most bang for your buck, and I think you'll be very proud of what the final product is. And over time, which I'm sure is going to happen as you get deeper and deeper into the hobby, you'll start crafting, you start commissioning, and I think that's the joy of cosplaying. Once you start, it's very rare that you stop, and you're going to be thinking about, okay, next time I go, how can I make it better? Or who else can I be? What else can I do? Like, man, this would be cool if I did this way. And that's cosplaying. So if you made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know if you found any of this information helpful. I really hope you got something from it and it makes going into a convention and cosplaying a bit easier for you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. I'm always checking my comments and I'll respond to anything and everything. Happy to help you because I honestly do believe that if you go and you cosplay, you're gonna have the time of your life. Let me also know what conventions you're gonna be going to coming up, and maybe I'll see you there. But in the meantime, see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and you have a good one.